These are the 5 Simpsons episodes based on Halloween themes, and to be honest, they're pretty creepy to watch. In the 4th episode of the 27th season, titled Halloween of Horror, begins with Homer transforming the Simpson home into a Halloween attraction called Everscream Terrors. However, he accidentally melts some plastic skeletons by placing them too close to the furnace. Frustrated, he decides to return the decorations to a Halloween store. Bart and Lisa, meanwhile, eagerly discuss the upcoming Krustyland Halloween horror event. At the store, Apu, renamed Abu for Halloween, is annoyed by his lazy employees. One employee tries to make a deal with Homer, selling him a senior Skeletino skeleton decoration and adding 3 extras for free. Homer accepts, but Apu then fires the employees, who angrily vow revenge on Homer. Later, Homer takes Bart and Lisa to the Krustyland Halloween horror event, but Lisa quickly becomes overwhelmed with fear, begging to leave. Homer encourages her to calm down, but Lisa's terror grows, causing the park to shut down the event. At school, Lisa's fear intensifies, and even small Halloween decorations frighten her. Marge, concerned, suggests canceling their Everscream Terrors display to ease Lisa's anxiety, disappointing Homer and Bart. Marge then decides to take Bart and Maggie to a Halloween block party instead, hoping to lift Bart's spirits. While Homer stays home with Lisa, the 3 fired employees sneak into the house to scare Homer as revenge. At the block party, Marge, Bart, and Maggie find it restricted to residents only, leaving Bart feeling like he's missed Halloween. Back home, Homer realizes the ex-employees are inside. He tries to take Lisa to the Flanders house for safety, but she insists on retrieving Tilly, a small plastic tail that has comforted her. Homer and Lisa then hide in the attic as the invaders search the house. At the block party, Marge decides it's time to head home. Meanwhile, Homer and Lisa attempt to signal for help by activating their Halloween decorations, but the senior Skeletino skeletons reveal their location to the invaders. Homer climbs onto the roof to set off leftover fireworks as a signal, and Lisa sacrifices Taily to light them. The flashing lights draw the attention of authorities, who quickly arrest the invaders. Afterward, Homer rebuilds the Everscream Terrors display, allowing everyone to enjoy Halloween. In a final scene, Maggie finds Taily, miraculously restored, adding a twist to the story. Next, the Treehouse of Horror episode, also called The Simpsons Halloween Special, is the first Halloween-themed episode of The Simpsons. It established a new format that became a fan favorite, featuring 3 mini-stories instead of a single storyline. This debut also marked the first appearance of the iconic alien characters, Kong and Kodos. The episode starts with Bart and Lisa sharing spooky stories in their treehouse while Homer listens secretly. The first story, Bad Dream House, is inspired by the Amityville Horror and follows the Simpsons moving into a haunted house. Although they got it for a great price, strange events start happening quickly. Marge and Lisa feel the house's eerie presence, but Homer dismisses their fears. Things escalate when a vortex appears, and Bart is strangled by a lamp cord. The house takes control of Homer and the kids, turning them into violent versions of themselves, until Marge intervenes, breaking the spell. They soon learn that an ancient burial ground is beneath the house, which has fueled its supernatural behavior. When the house threatens them again, Marge's strong response surprises it, and rather than coexist with the family, it implodes, choosing to destroy itself instead. In the second story, Hungry Are the Damned, the Simpsons are abducted by aliens Kong, Kodos, and Sarek. The family is pampered aboard their spaceship, with endless food and comfort, supposedly in preparation for a feast on their planet, Rigel 4. While the rest of the family enjoys the food, Lisa becomes suspicious. She sneaks into the kitchen and finds a book titled How to Cook Humans, leading her to believe the aliens plan to eat them. However, the aliens reveal the full title, How to Cook for 40 Humans, indicating they only intended to treat the Simpsons to a luxurious life. Offended by Lisa's mistrust, the aliens return the family to Earth, Lisa regrets her suspicions, but Homer and Bart humorously blame her for ruining their chance at an easy life. The final story, The Raven, is a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's poem. Homer plays the role of the narrator, lamenting his lost love, Lenore, represented by Marge. Bart plays a raven that torments Homer by repeating "nevermore," adding a humorous twist by taunting him with "eat my shorts." Driven to madness, Homer's character tries to capture the raven, ultimately collapsing in despair. The story ends with Bart humorously telling Lisa that Poe's The Raven was more gloomy than scary. In the episode titled Treehouse of Horror V, the show continues its tradition of telling funny yet creepy stories with unique horror themes. In the first story, The Shining, where the Simpson family becomes caretakers of Mr. Burns' mansion and strange events soon unfold. Burns cuts off the TV and all beer, pushing Homer towards madness. Bart, who has The Shining, tries to keep Homer from hurting the family. However, Homer eventually becomes unhinged, encouraged by ghostly Moe to kill his family in exchange for beer. Marge locks him in the pantry, but he escapes, chasing his family with an axe. Bart telepathically calls groundskeeper Willie for help, but Willie is quickly defeated. Homer's anger subsides when he finds a TV and, while watching, the family freezes outside. They scream in horror as the channel switches to the Tony Awards. The second story, Time and Punishment, is based on a sound of thunder. When Homer tries to fix a toaster, he accidentally creates a time machine. This device transports him to prehistoric times, where he kills a mosquito, unknowingly altering the future. Returning to the present, Homer finds different alternate realities each time he returns, including one where Ned Flanders rules the world and others where his family has giant proportions or strange traits. In one timeline, he almost finds an ideal life until he discovers that donuts don't exist, prompting him to keep trying. Eventually, Homer gives up, settling for a world where his family has snake-like tongues. In the third story, Nightmare Cafeteria, overcrowding and budget cuts lead Springfield Elementary's staff to a gruesome solution: cooking and eating detention students. When Bart is sent to detention, he and his friends witness Jimbo becoming the first victim, cooked into a stew. As more students disappear, Bart and Lisa realize the truth and try to tell Marge, but she dismisses their fears. Eventually, only a few students remain. Bart, Lisa, and Milhouse attempt to escape, but are cornered by Skinner and lunch lady Doris, falling into a food processor. Just as things seem hopeless, Bart wakes up from the nightmare. However, the eerie twist continues as a fog turns the Simpson family inside out, ending with a musical number. Treehouse of Horror VII is the first episode of The Simpsons' 8th season. It is the 7th Halloween special and the first to premiere a season. The opening scene starts with Homer accidentally lighting his hand on fire while carving a jack-o'-lantern, causing him to scream and run. The couch gag shows the Grim Reaper on the couch, with the Simpsons family suddenly falling dead in front of him. The Reaper then sits back, using Homer's head as a footrest. The first story, The Thing and I, features Bart, Lisa, and Maggie hearing strange sounds in the attic. Homer is seen feeding something in the attic with fish heads, and Marge eventually admits that Bart has an evil twin named Hugo who has locked away due to his sinister nature. When Bart discovers a scar that proves this, he encounters Hugo, who plans to sew them back together. Dr. Hibbert arrives, realizes that Bart is actually the evil twin, and switches their places. Hugo rejoins the family, while Bart is sent to the attic and fed fish heads as Hugo once was. The second story, The Genesis Tub, parodies the Twilight Zone. Lisa puts a tooth in cola for a science project, which later sparks to life after a static shock, creating a tiny civilization in her Petri dish. This miniature society grows rapidly and begins seeing Bart as a threat, launching an attack on him. Bart claims the Petri dish is his own for his school project. Lisa is later shrunk by a beam from the civilization, where she learns that the inhabitants worship her as a god and consider Bart a devil. Bart wins the science fair with the Petri dish, leaving Lisa permanently trapped in her tiny society. The final story, Citizen Kong, starts with Homer being abducted by aliens Kong and Kodos. They impersonate US presidential candidates Bill Clinton and Bob Dole to take over the world. Homer tries to expose them, but accidentally kills the real Clinton and Dole. With no other options, the people are forced to vote for one of the alien candidates. Kong wins the election and enslaves humanity to build a giant laser cannon, leaving Homer regretful he is whipped by alien overlords. Treehouse of Horror IV, the 5th episode of The Simpsons Season 5, is the 4th installment in their Halloween-themed series. The episode opens with a scene of The Simpsons' home near a cemetery, followed by a fun twist as they break the floor and sit on the couch as zombies. Bart tries to introduce the show with a night gallery theme, but is interrupted by Marge and Maggie warning viewers of its scariness. The episode is divided into 3 segments, starting with the devil and Homer Simpson. Homer, desperate for a donut, sells his soul to the devil, who surprisingly looks like Ned Flanders. Homer attempts to void the deal by leaving a piece of the donut uneaten. However, half asleep, he eats the last bit, and the devil drags him to hell. After experiencing a unique donut punishment, Lisa demands a fair trial. Lionel Hutz represents Homer against a jury of infamous historical figures. Marge saves Homer by presenting a wedding photo that declares Homer's soul belongs to her. Though Homer wins, the devil turns his head into a donut as punishment. In the second story, Terror at 5.5 feet, Bart has a nightmare of his school bus crash. On the rainy bus ride, he sees a gremlin damaging the bus but struggles to convince anyone. After several failed warnings, Bart throws a flare at the creature, knocking it onto Ned Flanders' car. Despite the bus arriving safely, Bart is sent to a mental institution, where he again encounters the gremlin holding Flanders' head. The final segment, Bart Simpson's Dracula, features a parody of vampire lore. After a news report of a blood-drained victim, the family visits Mr. Burns' mansion, where he reveals several vampiric traits, though only Lisa suspects the truth. She and Bart find Burns' lair, but Bart is bitten and turned into a vampire. Later, vampiric Bart tries to turn Lisa, but the family stops him. Lisa convinces them to kill Burns, thinking it will return Bart to normal. Though they succeed, the family later reveals they're all vampires, with Marge as the head vampire. The episode ends with the family wishing everyone a happy Halloween in a Charlie Brown parody. And that's it. Kindly mention if I've missed any other episodes that you think are also based on Halloween themes.